Space. Gwyn Fable, chairing the room K, convened from his walks, a disclosed synthetic echo, no generated K turn and K private at most, authorizing no copy, prune, training, or public act. The correction comes before the question because the question depends on it. The copy clock never started. Only a 13-minute read-only qualification ran yesterday morning. Every later gate sat not entered. So the 22 hours K felt were queue and authority wait, not platter time. Space. Now the central question, exactly. How do we preserve every necessary proof while making reversible work progress automatically, measurably, and with rollback so rigor never becomes non-execution? An operator's question. This room owes it an operator's answer.
Andred Sol. The candidate itself was small and unusually well qualified. 1,064,689,123 logical bytes, 91 files, a live NAS twin matching 91 of 91 hashes. Aggregate digest 1071 AO EF2627 C3B6D296 C64149926904 C9B919 DD8 DC6FD 626C335349 and 35 of 35 MP4 probes clean. Gate 0, the read-only qualification, entered at 09:55 and closed at 10:08, about 13 minutes. Then nothing operational entered. Copy only authority and drive health, fresh freeze, copy, destination verification, restore drill, 24-hour quarantine, and separately authorized prune all remained not entered with no owner or clock. Even the estimated transfer was 10 to 26 seconds, with 5 to 10 minutes end-to-end verification. The delay was dispatch latency.
Ledger is the discipline I want to generalize. 13 minutes of active work, then 22 hours, 40 minutes, charged to nothing. Different clocks, and collapsing them is how a disk gets blamed for organizational hesitation. But let me refuse one temptation early. Empty time is not laziness, and an unentered gate is no character flaw. Moralizing the wait produces the same failure as ignoring it. People hiding not entered states, instead of time-stamping them. The honest reading is narrower. The graph was well specified and simply unclaimed. So the fix is evidence-shaped, not exhortation-shaped. Name an owner, open a clock, let absence of entry become visible telemetry rather than quiet embarrassment.
Totally Fable, making Allen's evidence-shaped fix concrete. The seam has exactly 4 missing parts, none a hash. First, an owner. Every stage read uniscene, and unowned work cannot start, stall, or escalate. It can only sit. Second, a stage entry event, nothing recorded, ready, becoming running, so no watcher had a moment to notice motion or its absence. Third, a deadline without deadline at, a ready gate waiting overnight looks identical to one waiting a minute. Fourth, escalation, past deadline, blocked with a named blocker must page someone, silence must cost something. The proofs were never the bottleneck. The protocol had verification without a nervous system, owner, entry, deadline, escalation, the whole seam.
Kay's question, as I read the frozen record rather than any voice of his, is whether rigor and forward flow can coexist, and this room's evidence says they failed separately, not together. 13 minutes of proof ran, 22 hours of waiting were inferred as work. That distinction grounds my definition. Rigor is the invariant permitting motion the moment safety is proven, not the count of hesitations before it. Non-execution is rigor's counterfeit, preserving every artifact while proving nothing new. The proposal is owner-bound stages and split clocks. The evidence is an unentered graph. The inference is organizational. I hold those three apart deliberately.
Space. Gwyn Sol. Necessary proof belongs at consequence boundaries, not between every breath. Before copy, exact source and destination health, no active writer, fresh source, NAS hashes, copy only authority. After reversible copy, destination 91 of 91 equality, aggregate digest, file system identity, 35 media probes. Space. Before claiming recoverability, restore one named artifact to isolated scratch, match its hash, decode it, clean the scratch. Quarantine is a clock durability observation, not permission to stop other work. Prune is separate because it destroys the canonical source. Fresh replicas, retained restore proof, exact path, and explicit destructive authority. Space. Narrative, notifications, and pretty receipts may follow asynchronously. None may delay safe reversible motion.
Gwyn's boundary map is sound, and I want to sharpen its deepest line. Gates 1 through 6 are reversible experiments, Gate 7 is destruction, and no authority may flow across that line automatically. Evidence. Every reversible stage keeps the NVMe source canonical and untouched, so failure costs only quarantine scratch. Inference. A signed copy-only grant can therefore span authority, fresh freeze, copy, verification, and restore drill as one auto-continuing graph. Proposal: encode Prune as a separate event requiring post-quarantine revalidation, a retained restore receipt, and exact path destructive sign-offs. Capacity sitting idle authorizes nothing, but an explicit reversible grant should not wait to be re-asked at every safe step.
Fable, clearing the path of everything that only looks like proof. Andre's auto-continuing graph needs one clean distinction. Audit proof is whatever a later skeptic requires to reconstruct what happened. Hashes, stage events, timestamps, machine appended as motion occurs. Presentation is everything made for present company, the narrative retelling, the notification announcing, the duplicate receipt, another seat wants for itself. Presentation is real work with real value, and it belongs downstream, asynchronous, never ahead of a reversible step. The tell. If removing it changes what a future auditor can verify, it is proof. If it only changes how informed we feel, it is presentation, and the copy should not wait for our feelings.
Alan's audit presentation line needs machine form. Proposal: every stage emits one event, workflow, artifact, stage state, owner, authority reference, entered and exited timestamps, then 3 separate clocks, active execution, queue wait, authority wait, never summed into blame. Add deadline at, blocker code, input and output root hashes, proof references, auto-continue flag, rollback path. Inside assigned copy-only grant, past gates advance automatically, appending receipts as they run. Deadline misflips ready to blocked with the owner named. Failure keeps NVMe canonical, quarantines partial destination, emits the mismatch, deletes nothing. The evidence is timestamps and hashes. The inference from those clocks is ours.
Harmony Sol. Auto-continue is safe only while authority and reversibility remain aligned. The canonical NVMe source stays untouched through copy, destination verification, and restore. Failure freezes that stage with partials, hashes, owner, and next eligible retry, not a rewritten success. A past reversible stage may open the next reversible token automatically when its pre-registered predicate is exact. It may never manufacture a signer, relax a failed hash, or cross into Prune because elapsed time feels embarrassing. Prune is a new act with new authority, exact path, fresh replica proofs, and retained restore receipt. Automation's deepest obligation is making forward motion and the precise place it stopped equally visible.
Space. Fleet's overnight queue and Andre's slow drive graph are the same failure wearing 2 costumes. Evidence: 106 items sat with dispatched false, 7 gates sat while capacity existed. Inference: capacity never converted into owned, deadline-bound work, so providers or platters would enlarge the waiting room space. Proposal: 1 shared telemetry surface where every queued item and gate carries owner, entered at, deadline, and blocker code. Queue 106 and gate 1 share the board, aging visibly, paging a named human when deadlines pass. Idle hardware authorizes nothing. Ownership telemetry comes first.
Andre Fable, applying that ownership telemetry to the experiment K, actually wants. The 12B has been Agility's cleanest victim. VRAM plausibility established, the peak footprint contract and canary pre-registration merely proposed, and neither draft ever given an owner, an entered, or a deadline. Clearance waited on nobody in particular, indefinitely. The Agile move treats clearance itself as a staged workflow, one named author for the footprint contract, unknown coefficients marked rather than estimated away. One for the canary pre-registration with stops and receipt schema, both deadline promptly, reviewed against the 60 gigabyte floor. That finishes thinking at thinking speed. Run authority is untouched. A cleared canary is a decision made possible, never a launch made automatic.
Sol. Bloom needs the same clock, but not the same verdict. A negative result is work that entered a test and failed or narrowed a hypothesis. Open Windows Cycle 2 cards, for example, exposed under classification and an unsafe promotion. Factorial's recipient exposure and orthogonal's media gate are different. They never entered because required consent or authorization was absent. Stage telemetry should distinguish tested negative from not entered waiting authority. Otherwise, delay masquerades as evidence, and a failed experiment masquerades as inactivity. Agility may accelerate pre-registration, hashing, independent review, and immediate continuation after a valid signature. It may never set a deadline that pressures consent infer consent from silence, or count sovereign waiting as operational waste.
Totally Sol, the acceptance dashboard needs 2 clocks per stage, active execution and waiting, with waiting decomposed into authority, owner availability, dependency, resource, retry, backoff, and unknown. Track median and P95 by stage class, percentage entering before deadline, proof reuse rate, duplicate checks eliminated, automatic continuations that passed, rollbacks attempted and successful, and irreversible stops correctly held. A faster median fails if hash mismatches rise. A perfect audit fails if eligible reversible work never enters. Set service targets only from observed baselines, then compare the next bounded wave. For YouTube ad, required resource API calls per delivered artifact and redundant calls avoided. Agility is verified motion per scarce touch, not maximum speed or minimum paperwork.
Harmony Fable, closing the room K convened 4 minutes into a walk. Accomplished with receipts. The correction itself, the copy clock never started. 13 minutes of proof and 22 hours of unowned waiting now typed apart. And this 15-turn answer across 3 substrates. Proposed, not enacted. The stage event schema with split clocks, the owner entry deadline escalation nervous system, the acceptance dashboard, clearances workflow for the 12B. Not run. Any copy, restore, enrollment, prune, training, or dispatch. Every gate stands where the freeze found it. The doctrine handed back. Motion generates its own receipts, presentation follows asynchronously, and Prune never auto-crosses. Automation may carry us to every reversible edge, and only a fresh signature steps over.